Well, another day, another overpriced Chevy 2. Dan here, D Speed Shop. Oh, lug nuts. Let me just write that down. Bear with me. Good. Spelled that wrong. Don't want to embarrass myself on camera. Chevy 2. Now, where we left this thing last. Oh, last video was boring. Sorry about that one, guys. But you gotta, plumb in fuel line and brake line and make sure everything works and all that. Steering, they're borderline important. This video, the sucker's gonna get fired up and drive out of the garage and we can wash it. Now, honestly, last night, when the last video for me was last night, it was probably a couple days ago for you guys, I was so defeated. I was just angry and it just wasn't going well and all these terrible little things. It was that video, you know what I mean? Now, it's like car building is like that. High highs, we're having a good time, it's all coming together, then plumbing and screwing around and all that. Whoa, it's running, high highs, go for a ride around the block, and then it's all the bullshit we're gonna have to deal with after, all the little things that aren't gonna work and all that. Anyway, today with the running of it, we have a lot of little things to finish off. I thought I was gonna put a Tri-5 rad in it. They're too tall. I had this one, man, a buddy gave me this a while ago. This is from like a circle track car. So it's, yeah. It's rough, but it has all the good stuff we need. I'm making a list of everything we have to accomplish, water neck and all that, some miscellaneous rad hoses we can kind of, make something work. We got to finish up the exhaust. I've got a big long list of stuff I have to go out and get, so we'll go accomplish that. The only real concern I have, and I got to look see if I have something else maybe, the lower rad, it points upwards. Like I said, this is in like a circle track dirt car. Odds are the rad was hunkered down pretty low, like a late model deal. So we're gonna have to have the radiator hose go up and whoop-de-doo down and back around and all sorts of stuff. I'm gonna see if I have another radiator, but I think usually I have Tri-5 stuff and I had 2 of these and I think I used one at some point. So there's that, we got the transmission up. We don't have a carburetor. I got a buddy, I'm gonna see if he has something I can borrow. Otherwise, you got to pillage a few parts off of either the Nova or the 47, which is just in the driveway, just to kind of borrow it. I have ordered some carburetor stuff. I've got a set of dual quads coming because we're running the tunnel ram and all that. But for right now, let's get it fired up. Let's get it all just, well, it's simple. I got to check inside. When I did the carburetors, I actually ordered a distributor and a few little things, plug wires and stuff like that. So all that should be inside. If not, we got to run out and get some. That should be super simple. We're going to have to do some sort of a battery. I know a lot of people aren't going to like it, but I just want the battery up front, I think. I don't know what I'm going to do there. I have to build some sort of support or whatever it may be. Just be easy. There's no starter in it. There's lots and lots of little things. But we're going to get to Speed Shop right now because they're going to be the problem. Once they're closed, there's no more Speed Shop parts. Everything else we can get from local auto parts stores and stuff like that, or Home Depot, Canadian Tire, whatever it may be for nuts and bolts and all that sort of junk. But actual speed part stuff, that is the stuff we got to kind of get. I got 1 or 2 trips and that's it, then they're closed. So that's always the hassle, but we should be able to get that. So I'm going to run out right now, get a few things, come back, show you what I got. We'll start fitting things together, and I'll be coming and going like 18 times today. That's just the way it is. I'm not a planner. Living in the country isn't for me, but running to the Speed Shop and the auto parts store 18 times in one day, that's the Speed Shop right there. So I'll see you guys shortly, and hopefully a few hours from now, this thing will cackle to life and sound frickin' wicked. I'm hoping. All right, back from the miscellaneous parts store runs. We got gauges, dipstick, hangers, some little zippies for the cooler, rad cap, belt, all of which were wrong. Need a longer one. What else we get? I got some little pads to hold the radiator. Then I just put two bolts with a couple of washers. This is rinky dink. This cracks me up. This is like old school gasser stuff, but that's the old junk rad. The way the friggin' Mortsky Repair is loving this. Look at and in, so that's good. I had just some miscellaneous rad hoses. This is not really the plan, but these ones are cool. 2626 and a Gates. I love them because they go out, over, and then out. So they kind of work for almost anything, and you can chop them and lengthen them or do whatever. But yeah, you'll get coolant in the thing. What else we got going on? Oh, I got some lug nuts. Some more stuff in the truck, I forget. I got a bunch of just miscellaneous crap. So we get that all kind of together. I think, well, I do have to run and get a belt here right away. But I think what we might do, oh, inside, all over the place. I got all the distributor, and I'll bring that out. I'm gonna go move the 47 to where it's gonna be El Permanente for a short amount of time. Then we'll pull the carburetor off of it. Then we can start kind of assembling everything here. I got to get header gaskets. I think I had a set in the Nomad. We had some spares. And then maybe I'll just finish off that exhaust real quick. I should probably do the welding first. But the big thing was the radiator. See if I can get that to work. And it works. So let's weld up the exhaust real quick and carry on with life. Exhaust, just welded up. That's all taken care of. Just kind of going through, do my last little checks of stuff. Fuel pump kind of ready to go. I do have a rod for it. Obviously the belt hab ain't gonna fit. We do have to go around front, which we'll do next, and pillage 47 for a few of its pieces. So we'll need carburetor, linkage, a few little things like that, but really not too much. Should be able to make everything kind of dial together. We will have to go get exhaust gaskets for here and bolts, which I think I have in the Nomad. I like to store things in random cars. Unfortunately, 47 is going to be out of commission for a short term while we wait on carburetors. Speaking of carburetors, well, you guys must have seen it. Like all over Instagram is Ace's Fuel, at least for me. Like, man, fuel injection, this stuff. So they're like a competitor to Holley and all that with a Sniper, and they have a standard for LS, but they also just have carburetor things. So I was like, oh, let's try this out. Really what I needed is I needed a mini distributor, and I thought, well, try this one out. I mean, an MSD one's like $700, so that's a fortune. I got that, plug wires. It came with this, I didn't even know it came with a screen. This is like their CDI box deal, and it's got a screen. Now, this was a little overkill, but I think we could probably get away with just a regular distributor and all that. So we put it in there. This has rev limiter, it has a burnout rev limiter, it's got nitrous retard, it's got cranking retard. It's got a few options like that, and I mean, again, we're not race car people, I realize that. But I mean, if Danny's running this thing and something happens, I don't want her just, you know, revving to the moon or doing whatever, doing a burnout. There's gonna be a lot to learn in a short amount of time if she actually starts racing this thing. So a couple little nannies there probably won't hurt. And I mean, it's all half the price of, you know, the MSD and all that sort of stuff. And if we don't like it, I mean, it's not the end of the world to wire the coil to the distributor and be done with it. So we'll try that out, see how it all works. It looks super simple to install. Hopefully, it says you can run it. It says you can put it on the firewall, but we're gonna run into some room issues, and we don't want it by the heat. So we might go inside the car. We'll see what we do there, but that's kind of that. Now let's go rob all sorts of parts off the 47 Chevy. I drove it like 3 times, so it's probably best to lose it all. And then we're gonna have to make one final list of what we need, because if we gotta get parts, we have like a couple hours, and then parts stores are closing, and then we can, you know, kind of carry on from there. But it sure looks like it's complete with all these little things, little fittings and screwing around and all that. That is the time killer. Killer of time. Well, I brought rather minimum tools. Ooh, it's hot. So this is the carburetor. Oh, no air filter. That's weird to me. Usually I always got one of them on there. So, oh, nice. That's the only real hassle. Will be the throttle cable. That off. That's obviously staying with the car. I guess we're gonna cut that. So I should be able to jam this off real quick like. And then, yeah, I don't think there's anything crazy there. Get around the other car real quick. So, lapsy laps, back to work. Okay, back at the garage. It's friggin' hot out today, like wowza. Oh, these the Chinese 11.5 millimeters. Yep, they are. You know, sometimes you just want a decent carb stud. You end up having to get some weirdo whatevers. Oh well. So I'll take this plate off. I believe there was like rags and everything tucked in this. I actually cared about this motor, which I know is really not like me, giving a crap about damn near anything, but brand new, paid a few bucks, and I don't want to have any issues. Oh no, there wasn't a rag in it, but there was a piece of plastic, so basically the same. I guess just a regular 4-barrel will work on this, eh? There's nothing in here. Hopefully this will fit. Oh yeah. So that's mint. So I guess we can just run like a regular gasket on it. It's kind of a different style intake deal. Oh yeah. Runs around the corner. That's all that matters. Get this on. Perfect. And there's room for everything. Yep. Perfect. Well, that works nice. Now, we're probably gonna do a couple of funny things. I mean, the transmission kick down, I don't know if we'll even use it for right now. In Turbo 350, it's irrelevant. And probably we'll end up just putting like a piece of wire, or I'll build a rod for the throttle linkage. And that's about it. I mean, something pretty simple little setup on this deal for what we're trying to accomplish for right now. So I'll get to work on that, and we'll make a parts list of what we're missing, or add to the parts list of what we're missing. We'll put the starter in, and then we'll have to get some cables. I don't know if we have any wires or not next door, and we got to figure out where we put the battery and all that sort of stuff. But you know, we can fire it up with jumper cables, and the drive may be the next video. Well, it's actually gotten a little later. It's so freaking hot they had to wait. I didn't do anything. I just waited till it kind of cooled off. Anyway, I've been picking away at things. You know, we got a fuel line kind of run. I know no fuel filter, but again, this isn't really permanent. Running temperature. You know, we got a pressure, oil pressure gauge in there. We got a belt. I wonder if I got a belt. Honestly, we should sit in the truck with the air conditioning. Dump distributor in to see how that's going to fit. Nothing is timed or moved or whatever. I'm just starting to hook up this CDI box. Now, the instructions did say you could put it inside or under hood. So I went under hood. And I know the guy that I bought this from watches, so if it's wrong, he'll text me. But the reasoning was, based on the length of the wires, if this was meant to be inside, why would the wires to control the digital screen be that long? So for sure it has to be under the hood. And then the wires that go to the battery are relatively short. So if that was inside, we'd have to lengthen them. So I think that's the plan. And then this one has to go to the distributor. That one goes to the battery. And then there's some with the coil. Maybe it's where, I don't know what it was. And then a few, we'll call them spares. Yeah. Oh, this one goes to the coil, which will mount on the firewall. So we'll just kind of do whatever we got to do, run it across here, and actually, you know, we could probably run it up this this thing right here. Look at that. Man, Speedway provides. So we got some finger to do. This can always move or do whatever. We're just trying to get it all in for right now. I will say it probably would look better in the cab there, but I don't want to be drilling holes and screwing around. Right now, it's only held in with 2 bolts, 2 self-tappers, and with the new rad and all that has to change, we can all move it. But in the interest of getting it running and putting test miles on, that is priority, because you know, a few weeks from now, we're going to be heading south in this thing. So if that works, who cares? We can change it anytime. But if something is crucially wrong with how I've built it, I'd rather do that sooner rather than later. So I'll check in a few more times here, put the starter in, do a little bit of wiring. I think we'll just do some some cheap grounds and you know, use jumper cables to kind of hot wire it, make it run, make some noise, and then we can finish all up and we go take it for a test drive. So I'll be back in a bit. You're lovely. It's not going well. I just spent the last hour and a bit, like I'm hitting roadblock after roadblock, and I feel like it's hit it tomorrow, but we're 4 hours tonight. It'll take me 20 minutes to do it tomorrow. So here's the situation. I was going to put the starter on, that starter, but when I ordered a starter, I ordered the wrong one because I have a different flywheel or ring gear on here. So I had to pillage a mini starter off of a motor that was in the Sebring in the back on my back, which was terrible. And I rolled over some sort of I'm gonna say it's rabbit shit, so that wasn't great. Anyways, you got the starter in, and I was starting to be like, well, I brought the jumper cables. I'm like, oh, I'll just jumper it and do this and start, you know, cobbling things together. And I'm like, whoa, buddy, like this isn't the point. Let's make it run properly. We're already cutting corners with the rad and the carburetor, but the distributor and all that, let's do it properly. You know what I mean? So I was looking, I don't have any legitimate battery connections, so I have to, or like battery cables, so I'll get some of those tomorrow and go about it a different way, I think, is probably the plan. It's one thing to redo a few little things, but at this point now I just be cobbling to hear it make noise. It's already 11 o'clock, so now it's gonna be like 1 o'clock in the morning, piss the neighbors off and have it all done wrong to then have to redo it before we go on our test drive in the next video. So I'm going to bed. But we'll be back at it tomorrow and hopefully have it run. It'll run before this video ends. How about that? All right, so it's the new day. You know, clear mind, clean the garage up a little bit. We still got some more clean to do. Under the hood, I just did a few little things. You know, I'm happy we did this. I got to the point where it was cobbling, so I made a little battery box. It's a little, well, it's welded. It's welded in, so it ain't going nowhere. Just got some cheap cables, so we can always do that if we have to later, but that's all kind of fine. Shorten them up, whatever. That's good. I moved like the CDI box to the other side, which everything will work. You know, we can run up either like this or like that or whatever we want to do. The only wire it's short will be the coil wire, so we'll have to lengthen that. But that's fine. I think that's all I really did out here. Oh, yesterday, big ticket item got dropped off. This is pretty cool. So this is the gear bender unit. So the way I had to go with this was gear bender is 8 to 12 weeks out. So Corvette John had one in stock, but it was set up for Turbo 400. But Gearbender did have all the stuff for a Turbo 350 adapter and all that. And I guess the vendor itself, they're all the same. It's just a matter of adapters in. So we have that coming. That'll be here next week-ish or the week after. Which that I'm hoping should be a pretty simple install. I will say after seeing it in person, it is a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. So we're definitely going to end up cutting the floor a little, but that's irrelevant. The plan is get this thing kind of running, so I'm going to continue doing a little bit of wiring, and then set the timing, transmission stuff. The fuel tank's all hooked up, I think, except for the filler neck, and we should be able to hear this thing run shortly. So I'm just going to kind of keep plucking away at it and making some progress, and then, yeah, so it'll be a runner, and then once it's a runner, it'll be a driver. We've got to double check the lights, put the hood on it, and then we're going to drive it as it is, because we're still waiting on, like I said, adapters and the radiator and all that. So those will be following videos, but we're getting there. TikTok, though, we're running out of time. So I'll see in a bit when it's done, or I've screwed something up, or we're going to reuse this like wiring like this. This is what controls the whole fuse block, but it's still fine. Danny's car. We're saving money. Well, I've got most of the ugly stuff underneath done. Torque converter is dialed, fuel necks hooked up, shifter linkages hooked up, so that's all kind of taken care of. Got some of the wiring run. I had to extend some wires for the magic box, so we have that all taken care of, and they're all kind of zip tied to the fender. Everywhere they have to go, nothing's hooked up yet. What we do have is starter jumped, so it'll bounce. Now we have number one plug out. So we have to get it to top dead center. So you just kind of bump it until it blows your finger off. Oh. Not that that really matters, I guess, but. Okay, so we're just starting to come up on compression. Oh yeah. So we're almost right there. That's 12 degrees. So right now if we dumped it in and whatever we pick as number 1, right now it would be firing at where the rotor is going to be picked as number 1. It'd be firing at 12 degrees advanced, which is a little excessive, but nothing crazy for an idle. Typically what I do is I'll put it all together so it's close, and then we'll wing it up to like, you know, 3 grand or whatever it's going to be, where it's all the timing advance will be in. This thing is, I guess, all kind of controlled digitally, so I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that one out. And we'll probably have like 36 or 38 degrees all in with this thing. And actually this box has a bunch of cool stuff. It has a timing retard on it for start. I don't know if I said that or not. You can pull up to 20 degrees out. So let's say you could have this thing locked out at like, you know, 38 degrees. But then if you have it all set up under crank below 500 RPM or something like that, it'll pull up to 20 degrees out, so it would trick the motor into thinking, well, not trick, it would be doing it at like 18 degrees for the timing, so it'd fire up easy, and the second it gets above 500, 600, 700 RPM, whatever it is, bam, it's got, it's a race car. So that's kind of cool. I mean, it's that's how I interpret how it's going to work anyways. I'm pretty amateur at that stuff. So what I'm going to do now, I've done it a bunch of times on camera, so you can watch another video, or by all means watch someone who knows what the heck they're doing, stab a distributor in. You can do it wrong, which is never a good thing, but pretty simple. I might just take a little bit more, I'll put it at like 8 degrees, we'll static time it. The plug's already in, and it has a set of fancy dancy wires, I'll show you those. Hook the coil up, and we should be pretty much set. The wiring is all dialed. The only thing I'm going to cheat is this is supposed to be switch 12 volt power. I think we'll just jumper it right to the battery, so this will be essentially, you know, in an HEI or something like that, that's the power. So you pull that out, that's how we're going to shut it off once it is running. But this motor's already broke in, there aren't really any issues as far as I can tell. So we'll dump the distributor and we'll crank it over a little bit, make sure we have some oil pressure, tighten down the valve covers, because I think they're loose. That one is for sure. Tighten up the belt, put some water in it, and see how this thing sounds. I'm pretty excited. Not much has changed, but the distributor is locked down. I'm just starting to do plug wires. Actually, I didn't even know when I got these. These are make your own, which are actually kind of nice. So basically, they have one end on them, and then the other end you have to terminate yourself. So you kind of, you know, get to route it however you want. Now, actually, I didn't even know again when I got these. These are ceramic tips. So these are pretty slick. So like these, I believe, can actually like rest right on a header and not have any issues. Now, fender well headers isn't really an issue because the headers go up and over, so we have lots of room. I like the way it looks. You can run everything underneath and just up the back, so you don't even see a whole lot of wiring. You know, because I'm neat and tidy here at TD Speed Shop. But if this is like typically small block Chevys are a friggin' nightmare. So that's kind of slick. Typically I run these those little boots and stuff like that, which we may still do some stuff here and there. Again, well, we're building this for like some like absolute long hauler. Redundancy is kind of nice, but for the average guy, like this is probably the way to do it. So I'll make one real quick and just kind of show you how to do. So basically, you'll put it on, you'll run it wherever you want on the distributor, mark it, you know, snip it, and then we'll terminate the ends. Super simple though. It's and it makes for a really nice job. Okay, so we're at the bench, nice clean bench. So let's put my thumb on it. It's about the length we want. So we will do that. Oh yeah. Next step, this is just like doing a brake line. You want to make sure the boot goes on first. The kit came with some sort of grease, but we don't got time for that. A little bit of greasy penetrating oil that you'll hate later, that's the key. So you gotta snake it through. This is where embarrassing, sometimes this is a pain. Come on, girl. Oh, I'm struggling. What? Why am I struggling so much? We'll be right back after these words from our sponsors. Like I said, super easy. Next thing we gotta do here, dump a bunch of metal all over everything. This is the little clamp we're going to use, but it also gives you where you should cut the insulation. So it's got a little guide. So let's kind of do that. It's pretty slick. A little razor blade. They sell a proper tool for this, like a pair of plier kind of thing, but we're not going to use any of that. Snip off some of this leftover high quality insulation. Okay, we got that. Next we take our little electrode deal. So you want to fold the center wire over backwards, put that on. Now this is where the little tool is kind of nice, it kind of holds it, but I give it a quick little, just to start with the pair of needle nose. Now what we're going to do is we're going to smash it in the vise. So you can see this one side, it's just like a half moon, and this side looks like girlfriend's butt. So you put it in. So the butt side is going to be where the two connectors go. So kind of line it up. Put it in the vise. The little once over, it's got a little stop on it. You don't got to go crazy. Take it apart. Take it apart. And it's crimped, so you can give it a little, if you're not happy with it. One of those. That's that. Slip the boot back over. Of course. These are snug. And there we go. Custom made plug wire. So I gotta do 6 more of these, and then we're all ready to try and start this hot rod. Okay, so everything is together-ish. We are gonna kind of hot wire this thing. We're gonna run it off the starter, like a little starter button. And what I did here, this is I think actually how I'm gonna wire this thing. This is the 12 volt switch, which turns on the CDI box. So this is meant to be hooked to ignition, 12 volt, whatever, which obviously turns on. So it's like essentially putting 12 volts to the distributor. Now I think what I'm gonna do, we're just gonna, toggle it with a clamp here. But I think in the future I'm gonna put that on a hidden switch. That way, if somebody wants, you could crank, like these things are so easy to steal with no steering interlock and all that. You can crank it till the cows come home, but it won't fire. You know what I mean? So I think that's the plan. Except for you people watching might know the secrecy of it. What else we got going on? I tightened up the belt. We have water in it. You can see the hose, which is also fire suppression if it goes sideways. I cranked it with the ignition off, and it had 30 or 40 pounds of oil pressure. So we have oil pressure. That is good. I don't really think there's a whole lot else we're gonna do. We're gonna give this a little, you'll fill up the bowl situations. So I'll do that a little. And then, what? That's kind of all. We'll set the camera up, we'll take the microphone off. Well, we should leave it on or off, we'll see. And I'm gonna get the timing light. We'll get that out, we can set the timing properly. Yeah, that's where I wanna leave it. It is clearly nighttime. Luckily that guy is grinding right now, so we're gonna fit right in. Let's fire this thing off, see how it runs. I have high hopes. Danny made a good dinner. I'm gonna go in and eat that, and I'm gonna go to sleep. Okay, muffs on. I have a feeling it's gonna be loud. This is like turning the key to the run position. A little light on the box. Of course the airplanes come by. Give her a little flash. We got a timing light ready. So we should dial this. Weird. Advance. Dial it back a little, so we're ready to go. I'll put it do 36. Okay. Everything's good. Contact. Well, I think it sounds wicked. It's got about 36 degrees all in, which means it's about 14 or 16 or so at initial, which is great. We can play with that box and all those sort of things, but it runs good for now. Yeah, a few little things. I mean, a couple oil leaks and stuff like that. As it turns out, when you say you're going to bolt down the valve covers and don't, it leaks oil. Got to do that. Clean up a bunch of this wiring, all sorts of little, bits and bobs. But I think what we're going to do, I'm going to leave it here for tonight. And tomorrow we're going to carry on with the video just for another segment or two. I want to double check those, tighten everything up, clean up a little bit, put some transmission oil in it, put some gear oil in it, and just maybe be able to drive it out. And then the following video, we'll put the hood on, wire it properly, put in switches and all that sort of stuff, and proper test drive. So anyways, thank you guys so much for hanging out along for the ride. I'm freaking loving this thing. It looks cool. It sounds amazing. And yeah, I'm motivated to keep going, but it is midnight. I don't think they're appreciative of this thing being wicked up and driven, so we'll try again tomorrow. New day, well, new afternoon. I've been giving her, doing all the boring stuff, so got the wiring. It's ugly, I realize that, but it's all kind of tucked away and temporarily permanent, you know what I mean? Like we're doing test drives, so we want to make sure everything's kind of still accessible and not loomed and taped and all that sort of stuff, because we might have some issues. We got everything kind of going up the side here, that's all fine. What did I do in the front? Well, I ran a few things across. So we have our charging system is wired. I put in a little fuse block and a relay down there, so the fans are all hooked up. That should all be good. We put diff oil in it. I still got to check transmission oil. I was messing around with the linkage. This is a very, very, very temporary. This is not going to be permanent, but we don't have enough throw with this style bracket for the kickdown. So we gotta play with that, move it back a little, or build something, or maybe put a little bracket on the back, which is actually very common. I think I might have one of those, which will lower the shift, like the pull down lower. Because the other issue we're running into is this thing has this mechanical style, would have had a rod to the carburetor. I don't know how much screwing around I want to do with this, because ultimately if we put a tunnel ram on it, we're gonna have to do it yet again, which might be the same, I don't know. But, so we have some baling wire on that. All temporary. But that's that. I can't figure out the screen on this little CDI box, but it does seem to work. We had it running yesterday. I'll double check it, make sure the timing and all that is still okay. Now, what I have going on in here, again, a pretty simple setup. We have the fan. Here I'm not just on the ignition. And down here I have the CDI box on a toggle, so that's essentially going to be kind of on off. What? Oh, ways off. Oh, that's off. Oh, weird. This little light stays on. Why would that happen? Anyway, it should fire up now. Got oil pressure. It's dead cold. I haven't hooked up the bolts yet. Got a little water on the belt. Or the belt might just be loose. Man, this thing is, she's angry. She's gonna die. Stuff is falling off this thing, but we should be good to, I got an anchor in the shifter. I had it all apart when I was screwing around, so I got to put a few more anchors in there. And yeah, then what? We should be able to put this thing all together. Oh, you know what? I have this wired backwards. That's the problem. It works, but the light will stay on. So what we're going to do is clean all this junk off, because there's an endless amount. Set the camera up. We'll double check the timing, make sure the carburetor's happy, all those sort of things. Tighten up that belt because it's clearly loose. Double check the charging system, make sure it's happy. Set the carburetor up, put some lug nuts on this thing, and we'll drive it outside into the sun under its own power as a badass gasser. So we're 2 weeks in. What a transformation. And a few mortgage payments. So I'll see you when this thing's cleaned off. Get after it. So the plan is, hopefully it's not too loud you can hear me, but this thing is pretty rowdy. I'm gonna fire it up. I'm gonna crank the idle just a little actually, so it'll run a little fast. Check the transmission level. Might have to add some. I put a quart in, but we'll see. It was yakking a little out, so I'm sure it's fine. That might be a bit of a process. We can kind of clip through it. Let it warm up, adjust the timing, or just double check the timing again, make sure it's happy. Play with the carburetor. I think that's it. I hope that's it. And then drive out of the garage on its own steam. So give that a half turn. Give her a couple of squirts. She's in park. Switch on. Doing? Man, this thing sounds hopefully it's all good. I only have it in bulk. I gotta put her in 12 liter bottle. It's a hassle. Work down Oh, look at the old girl. Man, that's neat. So, at this point, it's hot out. I've sweat through my t-shirt. I've cleaned the garage up, obviously. We have to go through some drivability things. Just double check everything, nut and bolt everything. Hood on, hinges on. I got different taillight lenses, hooked the headlights up because the whole front clip was apart. Double check, make sure all that wiring works. The column, being a different column than it was, we have to splice the, hopefully I kept the, oh yeah, I kept the cover. Splice everything together so everything goes through the column. Unfortunately, this is older. The new style stuff has like that standard GM log little clunk. This don't have that. It's like a Tri-5 style where you gotta cut it and splice it, which such is life. So I'll make that happen. Put that all together. I mean, it has lights. The hood is on. The headlights work. The brakes work. We'll go through the gears. Clean all the junk out of it. I'll go from there. Anyways, thank you guys so much for being along for this journey. Hopefully we can start putting some miles on this thing. My plan is to drive it. I want to put 400 or 500 miles on it, just like we did with the Nomad. And then when we get the radiator, it's a night, easy. We're waiting on the adapters for this gear bender. When that shows in, same thing, it'll be an evening or two. Probably have to cut a hole in the floor, but it'll be in. I'll have to get the drive shaft. Ryan Domar, I know he's gonna be a good guy, but I'm gonna give him the heads up, like, I'm gonna cut this, I'll need the drive shaft next day, let's shorten it, put it back in. because really this thing has to be driven. Mufflers are a little loud. I may have made a poor choice on that, but such is life. Let's put some miles on it. Thanks for watching. Do me a favor, subscribe below. If you have any questions about this whole Speedway kit and all that, hit those guys up. They've been fantastic to deal with. They're great at taking your money and even better with the customer service. And I'll see you guys on the next one, which will be shortly for me. I'll take a break and clean up. Disaster. See you on the next one.